reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
You're logging into your favorite game, grinding out some gear. A couple of points added to your stats, and you have a virtual beer. Max level is pretty cool, but I'll remind you here, my friend. These games are not about the goal, it's about the journey and not the end.
You're listening to MMO Reporter, brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter. And by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapon with Doghouse Systems.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of MMO Reporter. This is episode 208. I'm Chris and I'm joined by the ever so exemplary Mr. at MMO Bill himself. Hello, Bill.
Hello, Chris. I'm feeling like I feel like half the show. Like I'm filling just filling the podcast on my own here.
Are you feeling like an exemplary example of exemplary podcasting?
Exemplarily, yes.
How's it going, Bill? Been a while.
Oh, it's been a while, yeah. I'm surviving. I'm gaming. I'm eating and drinking and sleeping sometimes, and yeah, good.
I guess all those things are good things.
Yeah. You know, it's exciting. I have my adventures doing like really important stuff. A lot of stuff that people are you know a little bit jealous of. You know, especially like the 3 meals a day, like breakfast. Oh my god!
Whoa! Don't go crazy here.
Yeah, I know. I sorry, not to brag, but. Yeah.
And sometimes on a good day, you have breakfast for dinner.
Yeah. So anyway, it's been a few weeks since we chatted. Have you done anything near as exciting as like 3 meals a day?
PAX.
Oh,
PAX
I see.
Was awesome. As always, PAX is a lot of fun. It's always a chance to connect with a whole bunch of people in the gaming industry, as well as getting to see a whole bunch of games. Just really, really cool. And we tried out a few different things, so looking forward to hearing what people think about our content. Everything from, a 3-camera setup for our Guild Wars 2 video, which we just posted today, as well as something I think we're going to do a lot more of at PAX Prime, which is not just do an interview and get a demo and stuff like that, but do like a post-interview or a post-demo or a post-panel analysis of the content that was there. Sort of give our thoughts on what's going on there and discuss the news rather than just sort of, here it is, bleh. So I really liked doing some different stuff like that. We did it for the Blizzard panel, and I don't know, it was really cool. I'm looking forward to some of the stuff that's coming out. I mean, the Guild Wars 2 stuff was amazing. Gigantic, I fell in love with at PAX. I always fall in love with a game at PAX and obsess about it obsessively. And I think Gigantic is going to be that one for the next little while. It's like it's kind of like a not a MOBA.
A not a MOBA. Well, that's a good start.
Well, and there's part of it that I want to talk about, but I've sent an email asking if the discussion about this part that I want to talk about was off the record or not, so I can't talk about that. But it feels like PvP in an MMO with some MOBA-esque map layout, kind of. Does that make sense? Like the design of the area is somewhat MOBA-ish, whereas the design of the characters feels much more MMO-ish. Am I making any sense?
I'm picking up what you're putting down a bit there. I think that, I don't know, whenever you get into that kind of that mashup, the proof winds up being in the pudding, and we'll see which direction it sort of leans in.
Well, I
can't imagine an MMO with a tiny map, but
it's not really a tiny. It's not an MMO. Don't think of it as MMO. Think of it as the PvP part of an MMO. right? So that's a little bit more confining, right? Other than Guild Wars 2 WoW, right? Like, think of it more of the start. But so you have the control points, which you want to control. I guess that's more like a control point type PvP map. But then you have you gain points. Like, the more you kill other enemies and the more you hold points, you get ticks. And the sooner you fill up your bar, your guardian, your gigantic, get it? Gigantic guardian, attacks their guardian and then knocks it down. And then you can attack the guardian and do more damage. So your goal is to get your guardian to attack, which means then you can attack the other guardian. And then once that guardian is dead, you win the match. It's really, really interesting. I'm working on putting together a preview video from some of the assets that I got in my time. I got to play about 5 matches. We went to the gigantic party as well, which was a fantastic party. Open bar, which is always nice. And so played a few matches there with Patrick and Jeremy from Lorehound. And really, really had an enjoyable time. It was quite fantastic. So that's my I'm in love with it game. I think the surprise weird game that I'll let Harry talk about. Oh wait, Harry's not here. When he comes back, he can talk about it. But everybody should go out, check out the Upsilon Circuit video that we put up, which is basically, think of it as a dungeon crawl where a whole bunch of people are the audience and then a few people get chosen to be the heroes and go through the dungeon crawl, kind of like a game show, and you get to either help or hinder the heroes depending on what type of audience member you want to be. But your account will only get chosen once ever to be a hero. So once you are chosen to be a hero, you are never a hero again. You're only an audience member.
Why on earth wouldn't you just delete your account then and create a new one?
I'm sure you could, but they've got to have some sort of incentive for not doing that, right? You got to have the majority of the fun gameplay being the audience member, and then once you get to be... that's something that I haven't figured out yet. We'll have to wait and see a little bit more about the game.
Yeah, no, that sounds curious.
Kind of some highlights from PAX. Saw, unfortunately, and I go in and I have high hopes for everything that's there, but saw a couple of forgettable games. I won't mention them by name because I don't want to kick anything but it's down. But you go to it was just, it was just. There were some that were forgettable. I'm thinking whether or not I want to mention it, but we'll do a preview of some sort at some point, and we can let our opinions known then.
So you're saying Destiny had a panel where they didn't talk about Destiny?
Oh my God, worst panel ever. That was like, I can't think of a worse panel that I've ever been to.
And to be fair, circumstance played a little bit into that, in that they lost power for 10 minutes of their panel.
Doesn't matter. They weren't planning on doing anything different anyway.
I was just going to say, I'm trying to give them a bit of a pass there, but yeah, they decided we're gonna be a premiere show. We're gonna get one of the bigger showrooms to present in, and we're gonna talk. We're not gonna show any media. We're not gonna show any resources. We're not. No
announcements. No news. No nothing. Not even cool gameplay stuff. Hey, look. No, just sit here and BS for an hour, which was basically what it was.
It was water cooler talk. It was like the conversations that they have.
Enough. We're being harsh now. Deservedly so, but we don't need to continue.
Our 6-month-old PAX Prime
Oh my God, that will be forever. That will be the worst panel that that's topped the SWTOR panel that we went to.
Oh, you know what we need to do? We need to start having PAX Awards podcasts, kind of like we do at the year end. And the worst panel of the year could be the Destiny Award.
The worst panel of it, no matter what. It could be PAX 2025. Destiny has long since been gone. And worst panel was Destiny 2014.
I'm not saying give them the prize every year. I'm saying we name the award after them.
Oh, the Destiny PAX Panel Award.
Yeah.
Yeah. Though there was nothing like that at PAX East this year. I was happy with all the panels.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways. Okay, so let's get into what we've been doing in game, because we kind of jumped around there. What have you been playing, Bill?
This is going to be fast. Phrasing. I played Guild Wars 2.
That's what she said.
And a little bit of Guild Wars 2 and just a touch of Guild Wars 2 on top of that.
Did you do any Guild Wars 2 though?
Yes, actually, I snuck a bit of that in. So it was I just filled out my gaming week a bit with that.
Yeah, take a bit of a break from Guild Wars 2 with some Guild Wars 2.
No, unfortunately, and it's not for want of like I had a bunch of other games lined up that I wanted to play. I wanted to get into or get back into the Telltale Games Game of Thrones seasons, kind of get prepped for the show starting up again in April. We're going to talk about the Wings patch that came out for Elite Dangerous a bit, and I really wanted to get into that. I've been eyeballing Rift for ages to jump back in and take a run at Rift, Star Trek Online and stuff. So I've got a big list of games that I want to play. So right now I'm just listing games, but Guild Wars 2 is the only one I got into. That said, I did. Oh, go ahead.
You're listing games that you haven't played.
I have played a couple of those games.
No, that you haven't played this week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because we got to fill the segment somehow. No, actually, in all seriousness, though, I learned a little bit of a new trick in Guild Wars 2. And learning is probably a stretch, but I tried out doing key farms, actually. And for those of you that are Guild Wars 2 players but have never tried this before, or prospective Guild Wars 2 players, key farming is essentially where you create a brand new character and you run them through all of your storyline, and like you level a character up to 10 and run kind of the first chapter of your storyline to get a Black Lion key, which allows you to open Black Lion chests and get a shot at pretty elite loot or really high value stuff that you can sell in the trading post.
Yeah,
it's kind of like basically like playing the lottery. You're gonna do better if you just head out to a high level area and grind events and do hearts and explore and stuff like that. But if you really want to hit a home run, then you go key farming or dungeon running or fractal running. But key farming is the way to do it at level 10. So anyway, I've read up a couple little guides about that, and it's the kind of thing that you can do in like half an hour or so and get yourself a key and kind of get yourself a pull on the lottery to see how you do. I haven't got anything valuable yet, but it's a nice way to kind of get something done in half an hour or so. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of cool. Wooden Potatoes has, if you're looking for a guide, just do a search for Wooden Potatoes key farming, and he's got a really good video.
If you're looking for anything Guild Wars 2, just look up Wooden Potatoes, and I love the lore ones that he did before launch.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's very few streamers, and I feel bad saying this, but there's very few streamers that I actually go out of my way to listen to as background stuff when I'm playing a game. I tend to get a lot of tunnel vision whenever I'm playing, and I actually really like to listen to like the music score and the game chatter and stuff like that when I'm playing. So I don't usually have stuff going in the background. Mm-hmm. That said, Guild Wars 2 and Wooden Potatoes just go together like peanut butter and jam. It's beautiful.
Does he stream as well, or just YouTube?
I haven't found his streaming channel. I'd be stunned.
You said streamer, so I was curious if I had missed something.
I misnomer. Now you're going to make me Google it, because if he's streaming, I'm going to have to just log out right now.
Well, the combination of the art and the depth of the lore knowledge was amazing in those videos. Funny
enough, you'd never guess the name of the stream, but it's Wooden Potatoes.
No way.
It's offline right now, but you have to appreciate the guys from the UK, and it's 4 a.m. there or something like that.
I guess I can forgive that. All right.
Anyway, that's my week. How about you, Chris? What have you been up to?
I actually jumped back into ESO, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But the more I play, because, I was thinking, so many people are saying such great things about ESO, and they're really enjoying it, all the new changes that have come up. And it's really just not the game for me. I just get so bored playing it. It's just not. I don't know why. I don't click with that world. I feel like that world is dead, and I don't understand. Because it's a vibrant, like there's stuff going on in the world, very similar to Lord of the Rings Online, whereas I connect with the Lord of the Rings Online world. I connect with the Guild Wars 2 world. I don't with the ESO world. I don't know why.
I've sort of, like, the vibe I get from reading it is that it's too much like Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim. And those are just better representations of that universe than ESO is. I
don't necessarily agree with that. I think ESO is its own thing enough. I just don't think that I don't know what it is. I really don't. I've been thinking about this since the launch of the game. I really connected with it when I went out to the ZeniMax studios, but after that I don't know why. So I'll try and find words to fit what I'm trying to say. It's not that I want more, because I didn't love, and maybe this is part of it too. I didn't love I played a lot of Skyrim, but I didn't love it. I didn't spend dozens and dozens and hundreds of hours in Skyrim, and I don't want, get your Skyrim out of my MMO sort of thing, or get your MMO out of my Skyrim. I don't feel like that at all. I like those connections. I like that they kept some of the aesthetic qualities through in the UI, in the world, from Skyrim into ESO. Anyways, Guild Wars 2. I've been doing some SPVP. Believe it or not, I know. I got into a little bit of it with Alona, and I've been back. One
thing I haven't touched yet.
Yeah, I've been jumping in there, and I went in on my Necro and spammed one button in Lich form, and I didn't die. Yeah, it's a little OP. But I mean, there's some matches where we got pushed right back to our spawn point, and they were killing us right from our spawn point almost. There were matches where we won. It was a good back and forth. And it's a really fantastic structured PvP environment in Guild Wars 2. I just like how they do it. It's fantastic, incredibly competitive. I haven't gone into ranked at all unranked. But nice rewards, nice reward paths, just really, really well structured. So I like that. Yeah, it's fantastic. And then some Wildstar. Jump back into Wildstar, leveling both my medic and my engineer. Didn't get too far, but jumped back in and had a little bit of fun. I had an itching for some Wildstar, and just and went back in. And there's lots of really cool stuff coming up. A bunch of news that we'll probably get together for next week's show to talk about it when I've had a little bit more chance to digest it. But some really cool stuff coming up in the next patch. They're sort of moving away from the drop language, I guess. No more drop, ultra drop 4 or whatever. So there's lots of stuff coming up. Wow, I logged in and took care of my garrison.
My poor garrison has got it. They must miss me so much. I'm imagining all my NPCs just like crying around the fire saying, "Where is he? Why doesn't he love us anymore?"
That's funny. I just haven't had time coming back from PAX, and I had a whole bunch of work stuff and then family visiting. Just haven't had time to just sit down and kind of do stuff. And then probably one of the highlights of my week was sitting down with some of the folks from Tryon Worlds and getting a demo of Arcage. I didn't get a chance to connect with the Arcage people at PAX. I did see Rift, and I saw Trove, but Tryon, here's the thing. To get one of those tiny booths at PAX, somebody said the amount. The other, it's about $10,000 to get one of the tiny ones, right? And not in the indie mega booth. That's a little bit cheaper, but to get one of the standalone tiny corner ones, it's about $10,000. That's a lot of money. Plus flying people up, plus the booth, all that sort of stuff. So for the last few years, Tryon has been going off site, and that kind of works in Seattle when it's sunny and you can go for a walk, and it's a bit of a pain to get to the other spot, but you go. And in Boston, when it was -16 Fahrenheit, and it's a 10-minute walk from the convention center, traffic is crazy, so it probably would have been a 25-minute taxi ride. I decided to walk it. That was the wrong decision, Bill. So my time with Tryon Worlds was shorter, as my walk ate up most of my scheduled time with them. So I didn't get to see Arcade, I didn't get to see Defiance. I'm going to see those in the next couple of weeks. But I did get a demo, got to see the new content, the level 50 to 55 content, and they've got sort of a system that's coming out that's they're calling it Obsidian Weapons. You craft them, you keep them, you upgrade them. Sound familiar? Somewhat legendary weaponish, Bill?
It's
got inklings of the similar thing, but you keep the same one and you upgrade that one. You're not going to find like an Obsidian Dagger +2 when you've got the Obsidian Dagger +1. Oh, I got to switch. You keep yours and then you keep upgrading it, keep upgrading it, keep upgrading it. And there's no drops or anything like that, or no crafting a better one. You just upgrade the one you've got.
It's supposed to be in Lord of the Rings Online.
Yeah, isn't it, though? So that's sort of that's an interesting thing. And they showed off the new Pegasus glider mount, which is a Pegasus, but it glides. And it was really weird because it was gliding, slowly going down, but flapping its wings. I'm like, no, flap harder, horse. You can fly. And anyways, maybe weighed down by its heavy armor. Looks like really cool stuff for the Arcade crowd. And I did ask them as a noob coming into Arcade, when you are likely to be ganked by level 55 pros, what can I do? Is there any way sort of to make myself safe? They're like, get a guild. One-on-one, you're screwed. Okay, thanks.
And that pretty well. Yeah.
It's I feel the game, though. That is what the game is. It is open world PvP sandbox.
And fair enough, but I'm going to have to really improve my guild getting abilities in order to play a game like that.
We'll talk about something for that maybe later. And the one of the questions I asked was about the viability of being like a farmer as your main thing to do in the game. And apparently, because they've got some things that will give you XP instead of materials, some plants that you can plant. Some of the farmers were some of the first ones to get through to level 55 rather than the hardcore PvEers or PvPers. Yeah, that was funny.
Well, to be fair, that was the way it worked with Guild Wars 2 as well. I think the first ever level 80 that was done in like 12 hours or something like that was someone who basically leveled themselves to like 50 or 50 or 55 or something, and then had their guild feed them crafting materials.
Yeah, exactly.
And they ran themselves up to 80.
That was getting fed all that stuff, though. That wasn't solo.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit different. Now,
same idea.
Now those farmers
bread to 8 max level.
Now those farmers are planting those plants and then selling the rights to harvest them to people who want a level. I think that's really interesting.
Boy, we're getting into some Monsanto type stuff there.
All right, let's move things along. Before we get to the news, though, we want to say thank you ever so much to our wonderful patrons over at patreon.com/MMO Reporter. We have hit our first milestone, $100, which means bi-monthly we will be releasing some music for you. We currently have 22 patrons. Would love to get up to 30. That would be absolutely fantastic. And looking forward to getting the next song. I'm actually already starting to work on it. I've got some helpers starting to work on that, so that's going to be really, really cool. Hope that everybody enjoyed More Than Deeps, which is on YouTube now. And our next milestone is a patron-only podcast, which is going to be a sort of discussions type thing with topics chosen by our patrons and with various members of the MMO Reporter Network. So looking forward to that next milestone. That's going to be really cool. So let's move things along to the news. So our first news story this week is about a game that is currently in closed beta, coming out in a little while, called Skyforge. Now, this is one that's been on the edge of our radar, I think, for a little while, Bill, but is starting to get a little bit of hype. I'm kind of starting to get interested about this game. Looking forward to getting in and trying it out. I think it could be a lot of fun. It looks somewhat interesting. A really clean and vibrant world with some sort of technological and sort of old world type stuff, and not just like steampunk-ish stuff, but like technology type stuff. I don't know. It looks really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, what I remember about this is when it was announced, Leonor was over the moon. He just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And shoehorned it into the show notes. And what I remember was that it was basically saying, oh, we're making an awesome game. Here's a landing page that's just a picture.
Yeah,
Enjoy.
I seem to remember that as well.
And it completely fell off my radar after that, but now obviously they're stepping into beta access. They've got some founders packs that that you can buy ahead of time, because that's what you do, is buy games that aren't ready yet, and so you could jump in and give it a try there. It's supposed to be coming out as a free to play game. It's a how would you describe it? You mentioned it because it's kind of like a techno. It's not a techno fantasy type game. It's more like a techno mythical kind of game.
Yeah, it's I think a really unique world, which is needed to keep it separate. Where it's like high technology, where it looks like transporters, and just the aesthetic elements of it are more akin to Star Trek than fantasy, but at the same time, it's got that steampunk fantasy element of it, and those two worlds kind of collide. And I don't think that that we're huge fans of big, huge pre-order stuff. Basically, all these pre-orders are getting you closed beta access. That's why people are going to pay for the founders packs, is they want to try it out and see what it's like in this first wave when the hype is big and everybody's talking about it, right? They want to be in on it. What I don't necessarily love is that some of the classes are locked behind this paywall of the different packs. The Berserker and the Gunner are locked in the two highest tiers. The Berserker is in the $30 tier, and the Berserker and the Gunner come with the $50 tier. You just get the Paladin and the Chronomancer with the basic tier.
Keep going. $50 tier for the Berserker, $70 tier for the Berserker and Gunner.
I'm looking US dollars, that's why.
Yeah, so am I.
Oh, it's saying $30 for the... I only see 3 packs here.
Yeah, that's why I'm seeing that. I'm seeing $19.99 US dollars that gets you basically in. $49.99 gets you Rage of the Berserker Extended Edition, which gives you the Berserker class.
Oh, you know what? It's because I already have the basic account.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
showing the upgrade.
I'm looking at the regular human page.
Yeah.
So
sorry about that. So it's quite expensive, and I don't like that there are classes locked behind the tiers of the early access. I don't know exactly. I think that this is just for playing it earlier, so you'll still get these classes in the game, but it's not immediate.
Wow, that takes cojones to say, here, get premium access to these classes that if you could just tell us how they work so that we could improve them before launch, that would be great. Kind of sounds like you're paying them to be their QA department. I don't know. Anything that's locked like that, like it wouldn't be so bad if there was like a tier that said, okay, join us in our beta, try it out, and you paid for that access. If you're really excited about the game, it's not something necessarily that I would jump into for this game, but other people might, but to actually tier that access for a game that's still being developed,
I like, and I've been thinking about this a lot because we've been talking a lot about Kickstarter stuff and about pre-order stuff, and I know what Harry thinks, and I am a big fan of physical pre-orders and collector's editions and stuff like that. That I really, really like. I don't mind pre-orders. I don't even mind pre-orders with different packs of Founders Packs where you get different bonuses, like you get XP flasks or stuff like that, or a whole bunch of cosmetics or even mounts. But when it's actual gameplay elements like different classes that are locked behind the different tiers, and while I understand it'll open it up later, I just, that starts to get into the little uncomfortable part of it. I'm starting to get to the point now where, you know what, it's just a reality of what we're in now. If people want to get into the game early in this closed beta before it's launched, they can pay for it. That's fine. But when they lock parts of the game behind these Founders Packs, especially when it's beta, it's testing, it's closed beta, it's not even open beta, right?
Yeah, anyway, I'm trying to decide, and this is something that's been bouncing around in my skull for ages now, if this is a phase of game development and gaming, or if this is the new reality, and this is just how it's going to be for the next 10 years or 20 years or whatever.
I hope that buy-to-play becomes the new subscription model of, like Guild Wars 2, the way that it did it. I hope that becomes the new norm, and that free-to-play stays to what free-to-play was. You know what I mean? Like, I still want, just because the entire game has to pander so much to spend money when it's totally free-to-play. And very, very few games have done that well. Guild Wars 2, I think, is the best. Buy to play. I think ESO has a pretty decent one as well. Secret World, somewhat good, although a lot of that content is pay as you go sort of stuff.
To be fair, though, Secret World, and what I've found as a very hyper-casual Secret World player, is that it gives you a metric ton of opportunity to just kind of enjoy. You get to enjoy a lot of the game before you run out of content and you have to buy something else. So it's not like you're getting a taste and just enough to get hooked, and then they ask you to pull out your wallet. But it's a comfortable
you get the
amount.
entire launch game for the price of the buy to play.
I don't think it's at the level that Guild Wars 2 is yet, because I think Guild Wars 2 is the closest thing to right that I've seen, at least as far as as business models go. But it's good. Yeah.
So Skyforge, I will be hopping in there in the next little while. I'll give some impressions once the NDA drops, and we'll see how it goes. I'm kind of excited about it. There's a good amount of hype, and not just about the game, but about people having fun with it, which is the right type of hype.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Curious is where I am. I'm cautiously curious. How about that?
Curious, which is exactly how I felt when I was looking for Harry Hall last time we played Elite Dangerous, because that was tough.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what kind of pilot Harry is, and see if he's hyper aggressive, or if he's one of those sneak attackers or attack of opportunities. I don't know, but we're going to have an opportunity to find out hopefully soon, because Elite Dangerous has actually dropped their 1.2 Wings patch, which is the patch that adds all kinds of new functionality for grouping in Elite Dangerous.
Which, and by the way, I have some video of Harry Hall, which I'll be playing right now for our live viewers, playing Elite Dangerous with a Oculus Rift. So that'll be a background here for you.
Why do I think you're going to be playing the old Benny Hill theme song alongside it?
No. It was a lot of fun. Although I couldn't fire my guns when it was my turn.
I thought you had that figured out.
No, I had to get help because I had to figure out I didn't know which buttons released my hard points and stuff like that. So which button's on the joystick. Although the freakiest thing I have to admit was that the hand in the game moved when it, like in the game on the joystick, moved when you pushed a button. So I would see this thumb move and push the trigger, or the missile button or the trigger, and it wasn't my hand, but it felt like it should be, because the joystick, as they modeled the same one in game that you had there in front of you. It was freaky in a good way. Oh. But anyways, back to Wings, which they talked about in the interview.
So basically, before the Wings patch, grouping with your friends was essentially jumping onto Skype and trying to fly beside each other. You couldn't really interdict together. You couldn't really jump into kind of like the little instance areas together or anything like that. You could barely chat with people that you knew. It was pretty bad, but I just from what I'm reading, the patch is live. People are loving the new grouping functionality. I still need to jump in and try it out, but I think we're gonna make a push to do that. Hopefully, try to get some video up for you and see how we do. See if we can get Chris actually pulling the trigger a little bit instead of either that, or we'll just use him as a decoy. We haven't decided yet. But so in addition to that, too, they introduced a couple of new ships. They added in addition to adding player groups, they've actually added AI groups as well. So when you are doing your instance content or the events inside the game, you actually have a chance of running into coordinated NPCs instead of just kind of random ships flying around. Yeah. So if you've come across any of those kind of events in Elite Dangerous, you can understand how they'll be really improved now. And the other kind of the minor feature that I'm just over the moon for, and I can't wait to play with, is there's a new floating camera that they've actually enabled in the game that allows you to view your ship from the outside, which awesome. Is brilliant, because I mean, Elite Dangerous is a gorgeous game, but all you get is your cockpit view for the most part. So being able to take some shots flying, I've seen some gorgeous shots of people flying through asteroid belts, cresting the horizon of a planet, and it looks amazing. So looking forward to that.
Lots of really, really great stuff. This is talked about extensively in the interview with Ed Lewis, their community manager from PAX, which I will throw into the show notes as well if you want to look at that. Harry had a chat with him. But really tons of awesome gameplay stuff. Harry and I played together before PAX, and it was just a mess trying to find each other. An absolute mess. So this is absolutely fantastic. Cannot have come soon enough. All right, let's... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah.
I was just going to say, let's make a quick mention of our...
little surprised that this isn't release type features, but
yeah, well,
three months after release is not bad.
Nah, it's not horrible. It should have been at release, but hey, our sponsors. Go to audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter, and you can have a free month of Audible, which will get you 1 credit, which gets you 1 free audiobook. Absolutely fantastic. And for those of you who might have been Audible members a while back, or who have thought about it, looked at it, they've actually changed things a couple of years ago, where now any book is 1 credit. So it used to be some books were 2 or 3, depending on how long. Nope. Now it is always 1 credit per book. audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter. Go check it out. And of course, our friends over at Doghouse Systems. Doghouse has changed the deal that you get with our coupon code. If you use the coupon code MMO Reporter at doghousesystems.com, you get a free 120 gigabyte solid state drive. That's a 120 gig SSD with your purchase, just for using the coupon code MMO Reporter. Bill, that's a heck of a deal, isn't it?
I like it. We were chatting about it a little bit before the show as well. I actually like this upgrade deal better, because I think going to an SSD hard drive compared to even doubling your RAM, even going from 8 to 16 gigs of RAM, or especially 16 to 32 gigs of RAM, that SSD is going to give you more. It's going to give you faster boot time. Your games are going to load faster. Your screens are going to load faster. If you're not already on the SSD train, it is the way to go.
Absolutely. So let's move things along to the next chunk of news.
So speaking of the way to go, ESO determined a while ago that the way to go is to go with a buy-to-play model instead of pushing the subscription model that they'd been using for a very long time.
Surprise!
I guess I should put very long time in quotes there. But anyway, jumped into a buy-to-play, and Chris was apparently expecting it, but I was completely caught by surprise because I hadn't seen a date for buy-to-play or anything like that anywhere. Anyway, it went live late in the day on March 16th. People who didn't have subscriptions suddenly noticed that they were able to log in and start playing. And now when you head over to the buy the game page for ESO, lo and behold, you've got a flat fee and the words "Explore Tamriel" without subscription fees pasted right underneath the purchase price. So there you go. If you were waiting to not need a subscription for ESO, you've got no excuse now. Jump in, give it a try.
And I think for anyone who really enjoyed Skyrim and Oblivion, this is going to be a fantastic game. Like I mentioned earlier, it's not clicking with me, and I really don't think all of it is the game. I think there were some gameplay mechanics at launch that were very, very iffy, lots of bugs, grouping was a mess. And the whole veteran system was so bad that they've absolutely, completely, and utterly ripped it out and replaced it with something different now, the champion system. So there were a lot of issues, and maybe my issue now is a little bit of residual that. But it's definitely now a really well put together game. The combat is fun. Very much like Skyrim with the left click attack, right click, and then your abilities, right click block, and then your abilities. A lot of flexibility with the weapons that you use and the armor that you use. The more you use it, the better you get at it. So you could have a heavy armor wielding, staff wielding mage. You could have, a two-handed sword wielding mage with leather armor. You can do whatever you want, and there's just some things that sometimes are a little bit more advantageous. There's a reason that warriors wear heavy armor rather than cloth.
Yeah.
Right? So lots of reasons to go out and check it out. That $70 price tag, that $70 Canadian, I think it's $59.99 US. Steep?
That hurts a bit. Yeah. I'm not a fan of that.
But you'd pay that for Guild Wars 2?
Yeah.
I think you even did. No, it was $59.
No, I paid the $59.99 for Guild Wars 2 and do not regret it. So I mean, you're really only looking at $10 here. So if you think this is the game for you and you're going to get a significant chunk of time out of it, and you're ready to enjoy the benefits of just buy and not need to really feel obligated to jump in order to justify a subscription fee, it's still a good deal. Like, I bet you, I mean, it hurts. It's a sticker shock right now, but a year from now, and if you buy it, you probably would barely miss that money.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And that's the thing, right? You can play it at your leisure. Mm-hmm. And there's tons of people in there right now. The earlier zones are filled with, it's almost like, well, it came out buy to play yesterday, so a lot of people are coming back. But it felt like launch all over again. I remember I got up at 4 a.m., I think it was, for launch to be able to hit when the servers open. That was crazy. Yeah. Go check it out. We'll have a link in the show notes. We've got one last story here that we wanted to, well, it's a couple of last stories here. One big one here that we want to talk about. A site called Zerg ID, which we've heard about for a little while. I created my account recently. I think, Bill, you've had an account for a little bit longer. This is basically a social network for gamers. In a lot of ways, Facebook for gamers, we've been mentioning. It allows you to create your account, and you have your name, but then you can also input all your characters. So if you meet someone in a game, oh, there's a character. Well, you go to Zerg ID, you can put in the character name, and it'll put you a list of, oh, these people have created characters with that name in these games. Is this the person you're trying to connect with? And so it's another way to make those connections in game, and hopefully get something that's a little bit more longer lasting than the quick pug that you were in for a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very cool principle. I think when I originally looked at it, it was basically kind of advertised as a way to help you find guilds in game, like to kind of basically be a central shop stop. Like I think it was more of a social media for MMO guilds. Mm-hmm. And I believe it seems like it's morphed a little bit into more Facebook for your MMO characters than for your guilds, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I can actually see a neat niche for that. I'm a little sad that there's not more guild hunting functionality there, or at least they've hidden it. But it's still very early. It's a beta thing too, so it's. Yeah, it's very cool. It's actually, we talked about this before the show too. It's the brainchild of Alex Albrecht. For those of you who were either Project Lore or Dignation fans back in the day, that is your spiky-haired, heavy-drinking founder for Zerg ID. So what could possibly go wrong?
And Bill will attest to this. I have been for many years trying to recreate what Project Lore did in some of the videos that we do with multiple camera views for instance runs, which I wish they had continued on and did a whole bunch of different games, because their production values were fantastic, which is probably why they couldn't keep going, because it was expensive. But just, I loved Project Lore. Absolutely loved it. Probably one of my favorite online pieces of media that I've ever consumed. Mm-hmm. It was awesome.
Yeah,
anyways,
it's fun to watch. Yeah.
So this is really cool. Like, I'm looking right now and I'm showing the stream for anybody who has Lotro stuff put up there, because that's my only character I've got in there is my Warden from Lotro. I'll put in all my other characters from different games in case any of you want to connect with us. We'll have our information in the connection stuff at the end of the show. So, do you think, Bill? Do you think this is something that maybe not necessary, but will be a positive contributor to the MMORPG landscape?
I actually hope it does become necessary. I think it's a great thing. There's so many games out there right now, like, and the way what I remember, and back in especially the World of Warcraft heyday, there was World of Warcraft and there was basically everything else, and even that, like, World of Warcraft dwarfed everybody else combined in the whole thing. So it was pretty easy to find your friends if they were MMO players. You had an excellent chance of finding them in World of Warcraft. WoW was almost like the social network for MMO gamers.
Yeah,
absolutely not even close to the case anymore. Like, there's if you look at the game list that you can add characters for in Zerg ID, there's got to be 200 games in that list. It's huge. So, or maybe not 200, but certainly 100. And it's hard to keep track of everybody across games. Like, if I'm jumping into, DDO, and I know you play DDO, but I don't know what your dude is, so I don't know how to find you in game or to look to see if you're there. Bang, I can now. And or through a tool like this, if we want to hunt Harry down in Final Fantasy 14, when we give it a run. There you go. I mean, stuff like that. There's so many areas to look for people here. So if this actually does catch on and become like the gaming Facebook, which I'm sure they desperately hope happens, that could be a really cool tool for that.
Mm-hmm. No, again, I think it's got a lot of potential here.
As long as they add guild finding again, or really work on guild finding, then it's the perfect tool, and I'll basically live in it. There
you go. All right, and last but not least, go check it out, zergid.com. Last but not least, just a quick mention, our thoughts go out to the people at Cryptic. About 18 of them were laid off just recently. Looks like a lot of it from Neverwinter, which this could be because they're done with the Xbox One conversion. They don't need quite as many people on the team, but you know, anytime you lay people off, even after a bit of a not expansion, but I guess new platform launch, that's less people to work on new content, right? So it's too bad. Thoughts go out to them. And a little bit from Star Trek Online and a lot from Neverwinter, unfortunately.
Yeah. I hope they land on their feet.
Yes, we do. All right, Bill, people want to get a hold of us. What are the different ways that they can do so?
Well, we have a ton. You can head over to MMOreporter.com to check out the central hub for the MMO Reporter Network. You'll find tons of PAX East videos going up there, even new ones now. Like I said, like Chris mentioned, the Guild Wars 2 video actually went up right today, so check that out. Send us an email to mmo.reporter@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/MMOreporter. You can tweet at any of the MMO reporters, even the in absentia MMO reporters, like MMO_reporter, at Harry Hall, at Leonor, or at MMO Bill for all of us. You can give us a phone call with that thing that your phone does that other than send text messages. It actually records your voice and transmits it. It's brilliant.
It does not.
Punch the numbers 616-666-6778 into that hidden feature of your phone, and you'll have the opportunity to record your voice for us to play on the podcast. We would love to hear from you there. Speaking of Zerg ID, you can check Chris and I out on Zerg ID. Chris has the Zerg ID Almazar, ALMAZAR, and yours truly, I go by WOW, WEAUX, because traditional spelling is for just crazy people. Find us on YouTube, youtube.com/user/MMO Reporter Network for all of our videos and other magic stuff that we put up there, including, if you don't want to look for it on MMOreporter.com, all of our PAX East videos. And finally, if you're looking for a way to help out MMOreporter.com and help us keep the lights on, visit MMOreporter.com/support for a bunch of different ways to contribute to us, like our aforementioned Patreon campaign, which is at patreon.com/MMOreporter as well. So all kinds of contact info. I'm getting exhausted. I think we need an intern for this kind of thing, Chris.
I do think we need an intern as well. Where's Steve? Is he working on his show again?
Hey, we don't talk about that.
Oh, sorry. Still wondering who created that account, though, that Twitter account.
Sounds sketchy to me. I think we should clear it with our lawyers before we start getting into Steve's again.
I agree. Well, thanks, Bill. It has been an absolutely fantastic show.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been, like I said, I feel like I'm filling half the room tonight.
You are, sir. You are. And thanks to everyone who came and visited. We had a bunch of people in the chat room. Nobody typed, but that's okay. We know you were there. We felt your presence, and we saw the numbers go up on the little count, so we knew you were there. Thanks, everyone, for downloading the podcast week after week. We really appreciate it. We hope that you download the podcast again next week. But, of course, most importantly, we hope to see you in game.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what.
Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Don't forget to check out all the other podcasts at MMOreporter.com or by clicking on any of the links here. And please check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MMOreporter. Thanks, everyone, and see you in game.